Do you hate making thumbnails as much as I do? The good news is you do not need to be a graphic designer to make an effective thumbnail. In fact, some of the best performing thumbnails out there are what I like to call boring thumbnails. Clean, simple, and easy to make. And that is the exact strategy I teach inside my program. And once my students start using it, they see a huge spike in views. Today, I'm going to show you my 5 thumbnail rules, how I make my thumbnails super fast, and we're going to change a viewer's thumbnail so you can see why less effort will actually get you more views. And this is day 3 of my YouTube challenge where I am forcing myself to create a video every single day, so I will stop overthinking and start creating. And you can follow along by going to the playlist right there on my homepage. To understand why this thumbnail strategy is so important when it comes to you getting views on your videos, you have to think of your thumbnails as like the cover of the magazines and the grocery store checkout line. If those magazine covers don't grab people's attention, people are not going to pick them up and open them. They're definitely not going to buy them. Same rule applies to your thumbnails. If you can't grab someone's attention when they open up the app, then they're not going to click on your video and they're not going to watch your video. Therefore, the algorithm is not going to send your video out to more people. The mistake people make is they cram way too much stuff in their thumbnails, and therefore people don't even pay attention to them because it's just a bunch of white noise when they look at it. So in order for you to get rid of the white noise, you need to follow these 5 thumbnail rules that will automatically simplify your thumbnails and make them a lot more eye-catching. I'm going to show you my 5 thumbnail rules by going to Cruisin' with Jen's Faves channel. She has been following along with this challenge, and I want to help her with her thumbnails. So rule number 1, Jen is actually doing. She is showing her face in all of her thumbnails. Now, I'm not saying you always have to show your face, but if you are an educational content creator, you want people to recognize you and start to see you as someone that they trust. So if we can't see you in the thumbnails, they're not going to know that that's your video. But also, we want to create that human connection so that they feel something and want to click on your video. One thing, though, Jen is doing that she needs to stop doing is wearing sunglasses in her thumbnails because we can't see her eyes. And without that eye contact, we're really hurting our human connection. Now, Jen is following this next rule because she is showing emotion in her thumbnails. Again, we want to make that human connection. So if we're happy, if we're surprised, if we're frustrated, all of those are examples of emotions you can show. You don't need to be over the top. Try to be natural with your expressions, but she's doing a good job of that. But it is harder to see those emotions when you have dark sunglasses on. We want to make sure that our text is super simple. And she's doing that in most of her videos because she is using very easy to read fonts. We don't want to have fonts like this one over here because that's harder to read. It's more of a busy font. We want ones that don't have a lot of curves, no cursive, no fancy fonts, just the super simple. We also want to make sure that we're using 5 words or less if at all possible. So you see how this is really easy to read, the top 5 beaches, but then Wanderlust Wednesday gets lost. The problem with using more than one font like this is the eye is all over the place. We're not sure where we should look first. So we want to make it really easy for them to know where to look. It's one of the reasons why you want to put your text on the left side of the screen because people read from left to right. So if the first place they look is over here, we want our words to be over to the left, and then we can put ourselves either in the center or over to the right. I also like to keep my text either to the left or to the center because of this right here. That time code that appears on your thumbnail can cover up words like you see it's doing right here. In addition to keeping your text simple and easy to read, we also want to make sure we are including some type of symbol that our ideal viewer will recognize to stop them in their track, stop the scroll. A good example of Jen doing this is when she shows a ship for a cruise because her channel is about vacations and specifically cruises. Next thing we want to look at are the colors we're using in our thumbnails. We want to make sure there's high contrast so it's very easy for someone to read the text. And we also want it to have colors that represent the feel of our brand and the feel of the actual video. But what we don't want are too many colors in one thumbnail because, again, that makes it busy and harder to read because our eyes don't know where to look. So my rule of thumb is no more than 3 colors in a thumbnail. Let me show you someone who is in Jen's niche who is following all of the thumbnail rules. So this is Life Well Cruised, and you can see that she's using very easy to read font. She has her font either in the center or over to the left somewhat, and she's using a background on her words so that it's easy for us to read them. She also is using symbols. So right here we can see she's using the Amazon logo right here. She has a cruise ship in her thumbnail, and that's because she's talking about travel essentials. So immediately we know that she's going to be telling us about things she bought on Amazon to go on a cruise. And she's using bright colors, but not too many colors in one thumbnail. Now I want to walk you through how I get ideas for my thumbnail. And again, we're going to use Jen's channel. So the first thing I do is I go and I look at people who are in my niche and I look at their most popular videos that were created in the last year. Anything over a year or especially over 2 years, it's a little bit risky because what used to work on YouTube back then may not work now. So in yesterday's video, we were talking about video ideas, and one of the ideas I came up with for Jen's channel was the carry-on hack every traveler over 50 should know. This thumbnail idea would work perfectly for that must-have carry-on, must-pack household items, but we could change out the words and we could change out the symbols and we could obviously change out the person. Now I'm on ChatGPT and I uploaded a screenshot of that thumbnail that I'm using as inspiration, and I told ChatGPT I want to use this must-pack thumbnail as inspiration for a thumbnail. The video is the carry-on hack every traveler over 50 should know. Give me ideas on what I could say and show in the thumbnail that would intrigue a female traveler over 50 because that is her ideal viewer. Okay, so now we've got some text, and what's great is all of the text has 3 words or less, or 4 words or less. My rule is 5 words or less. So carry-on secret, 50+ travel hack, pack smarter, never overpack again. All of these are great. Then it tells me what I could actually show inside the thumbnail. So it's focusing on the bag, relatable props, background. So all of these are ideas that I could use to create my thumbnail. Now I'm going to show you exactly how I make my thumbnails by making a thumbnail for Jen's channel, but it will be me instead of Jen because Jen's not here. I really can't stand taking pictures for thumbnails. So what I like to do is before I even start recording the video, hit record and I just do all the different poses just in case I need a different expression. And that way it's already on the exact same card as all of my video. I don't have to worry about it after I record my video because a lot of times I forget. I also will use props because I want to have that as an option as well. I also will make sure to label that clip so that I can use those poses in future videos. A lot of people think you have to wear the exact same outfit as you have on in the video in your thumbnail, and that's not true. In fact, a lot of times I am reusing the exact thumbnail I used for another video, and I'm just changing the text. So keep that in mind, and that's why I also keep all of my thumbnails inside a Canva project so I can easily go back and reuse them, change out text, or just simply change out a picture, and that's why it doesn't take me very long to create these. Okay, we are in Canva, and I have uploaded my screenshots, and now I just have to expand it. But you can see I have all of my previous thumbnails in here, so I can easily copy text, I can copy little symbols and bring them into my new project if I want to. The first thing I'm going to do though is I'm going to click on edit and I'm going to hit adjust, and I'm going to brighten up this picture a little bit, increase the contrast a little bit. I haven't decided which one I'm going to use yet, so we'll do this one too, brighten, contrast. I'm telling a secret here for my carry-on secret. And this one, I'm just very, very excited. Big gummy smile. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is I clearly don't look like I'm going on a trip sitting here in my office. So we're going to click on background remover. Okay, now we've got the secret. Once I have removed the background, I've changed the background to a nice royal blue. I'm going to go over to elements and I'm going to look for an airplane. But I want to do it under photos. All right, let's try this one. So what I can do is make it stretch across, and then I can click on position and put it in the back, and then I can click on transparency and really lighten it. Okay, I like that. Now we need to add text. So we're going to make it so that we have a text box. So I just hit element and I hit square, and I'm going to try and make this the color of my shirt. So go down to photos, hit color, but I want it a little bit brighter, so I can go in here and make it a little bit, yeah. Okay. And then we're going to go to text. And this is where it says carry on secret. And then we're going to make this all caps and bigger. Bigger. Yeah, we want this to be really easy to read. All right, then we can go to effects and I can do a lift on it, go all the way up with intensity. That makes it even easier to see. And now I need to go to elements and add a carry-on. We don't want too many colors, so let's go for this silver guy, and then we're going to remove the background on that. Okay. So this is what we have so far. I think I can make that airplane a little bit bigger. Okay. Because this is specifically for our over 50 traveler. Make it in that big. And then you can go right here and you can adjust the line spacing, and we're going to make this bright. So let's go back to here. All right, but you see how you can't really see that very well. So let's put a background on that too. Go back to elements. We'll just do the same thing again, and we'll make that black. Make our carry-on a little bit bigger. And then we want to make sure that people know to look at that. So an easy way to do that is to go to elements and select an arrow. And I think I'll make that white. And then we'll put me forward. So we've got the facial expression. We've got carry-on secret, over 50 traveler. So technically that's 5 words. We've got an arrow making sure it's really obvious. So this is a symbol. And then in the faint backdrop, we've got an airplane to go with our carry-on. There's 3 colors. You don't count the neutrals. Okay, we're good. We follow the rules. Okay, you're probably going to make a thumbnail more like what I do, because I don't go to airports and get on cruises. I'm usually in here, educational content creator. So I'm going to show you how I made this thumbnail inside of Canva, which, by the way, I do have the paid version. So this is the picture unedited. That's what it turned out. This is what it looks like before I edit anything. I'm going to hit edit. I'm going to go over to adjust, and I'm going to brighten it a little bit. I'm going to increase the contrast. Then I am going to go over to edit again. I'm not going to do background remover. I'm going to do what's called magic grab. And I just want the foreground. So that's that part right there. I'm going to hit grab. So what that did is now I am removed from the background. So nice. So now I can go and I can brighten this, or I could darken it by hitting edit. And that allows me to pop out on the screen a little bit. See that? Or I could brighten it a little bit, which is what I ended up doing. And I actually ended up expanding this and moving it over so I didn't have anything in the background that was distracting. I can move me to the center like I did. And then remember we talked about having symbols. So if I go to elements, for my niche, I want to use a YouTube logo. So that's this guy right here. And then I changed the color. And then if I want to go to text, never stuck again. Okay, and then I'm going to go to effects again and do that lift thing, increase the intensity. And then under that, I could go to curve. And then under that, you can decide how much you want it to be curved, which is what I did. And then I brought it over here. Now, I did put a white backdrop on this logo, so it really did look like the logo. I already have one of these saved, so instead of doing all of this and working again, because I could have just made that white, put it behind there, I can just take this guy, move him down here. So see, that's why I like to keep my projects. See, I don't have to recreate that thing all over again. And then all I did here is I did a little screenshot from my analytics and I put that there. But again, since it's already there, I could just borrow it, put that there. If I want it to go behind it, then I can just hit position and go backwards with it. Effects, I can go to face retouch. I could smooth my skin just a little bit right there. And that is how I make my thumbnails. Tomorrow, we will be working on how to actually title our videos. So yes, we came up with ideas for our videos, we came up with thumbnails, but now we need to figure out the titles because the title is just as important as the thumbnail. And when that video is ready, it'll be right here.